Kampala, Uganda. March 2019. Inside a dimly lit hotel room, a fluorescent light flickers, casting long shadows over a heavy oak table. Two North Korean officials. Men trained in the art of state-level deception. Slide a shopping list across the surface. It is not a list for groceries. It is a request for 6 Scud missiles and 500 kilograms of chemical weapon precursors. The man sitting opposite them does not flinch. He picks up the paper and begins negotiating the price as calmly as if he were buying wholesale grain for a restaurant. What these officials do not know is that hidden inside his shirt collar is a pinhole camera, recording every word, every twitch, and every incriminating signature. And what they definitely do not know is that this man is not an international arms dealer. He is not a trained operative. He is an unemployed Danish chef on government disability with 0 spy training. His name is Ulrich Larsen. For 10 years, he has been playing a game where one wrong word means a one-way trip to a North Korean black site. No backup. No extraction team. No second chances. Welcome to The Digital Sleuth. Today, we are diving into a cybercrime documentary unlike any other. This is the story of how an ordinary man used the very tactics employed by modern hackers, things like social engineering, digital persona building, and deep web-style networking, to pull the mask off the world's most paranoid regime. We are going to look at the intersection of old-school espionage and the new frontier of digital fraud. Because as you are about to see, North Korea is not just a hermit kingdom. It is a global criminal enterprise that uses the internet, front companies, and human psychology to fund its nuclear ambitions. How did a nobody from Copenhagen outplay a dictatorship? And what happens when the world's most dangerous hackers realize they have been hacked? Let's get into it. To understand how Ulrich did this, we have to talk about social engineering. In the world of cybersecurity, social engineering is the art of manipulating people into divulging confidential information. It is the human version of a phishing attack. In 2010, Ulrich was stuck in a cramped living room, staring at a flickering TV. His career as a chef was over due to chronic illness. He felt invisible. Then, he saw a documentary called The Red Chapel, a film where a director sneaked into North Korea using a comedy troupe as a front. Ulrich had an idea. An insane one. He emailed the filmmaker, Mads Brugger, offering himself as an undercover volunteer. Brugger did not need someone inside North Korea yet. He needed someone to investigate the regime's global shadow operations. See, North Korea is under the heaviest sanctions on Earth. To survive, they have turned to what intelligence analysts call the Lazarus strategy. They fund their military through illegal arms sales, drug trafficking, and massive cybercrime operations. We are talking about the Lazarus Group, the hackers behind the 2014 Sony Pictures hack and the $81 million Bangladesh bank heist. But every digital crime needs a physical facilitator. Ulrich's initial access was not a piece of malware. It was a fan club. He joined the Korean Friendship Association, or KFA. This is a global organization of regime sympathizers and communist nostalgists. To them, Ulrich was the perfect recruit. Eager, helpful, and seemingly harmless. For 3 years, Ulrich practiced low-level persistence. In cybersecurity terms, he was a sleeper agent. He volunteered for the grunt work no one else wanted. Managing email lists, schmoozing new recruits, and parrying Western media lies. He built trust brick by brick. He was the quiet chef. And that is exactly what made him dangerous. By 2011, Ulrich earned an invitation to Pyongyang. This was his first system breach, but entering North Korea with a camera is like trying to bypass a state-of-the-art firewall while the admin is watching your screen. He had to bow to statues of Kim Il-sung while his mind was racing. He had to praise a regime that was starving its people while his hidden recorders were capturing the minders' whispers. He survived that trip. And more importantly, he gained the trust of the KFA's president, Alejandro Cao de Benos. Alejandro was a Spanish aristocrat who acted as the regime's gatekeeper. Ulrich was now inside the house, but he needed a payload. He needed to find the money. Every cybercrime documentary eventually leads to the same place: the money trail. For North Korea, that trail often leads to the dark web and illicit manufacturing. Ulrich realized that to get to the root access of North Korean secrets, he needed to offer them something they craved more than loyalty: hard currency. The regime is obsessed with sanction busting. They need ways to turn their illegal products into usable cash. Ulrich bluffed. He told his North Korean contacts he had a wealthy investor friend, a man with zero morals and millions to spend. To make this work, Ulrich and Brugger recruited Mr. James. Mr. James was played by Jim Latraque Couvortrup, a former French Foreign Legion soldier and ex-convict who had served time for drug dealing. He looked like a Bond villain and talked like an international financier. He was the perfect malicious actor persona. In 2016, they met a North Korean diplomat in Oslo over expensive wine. The cybercrime element of the regime started to show its face. The diplomat did not just want to talk about friendship. He wanted to talk about special products. Within hours, they were discussing methamphetamine production. North Korea is famous for state-grade meth, and they were looking for a place to build a secret lab outside their borders to avoid detection. They also offered missile sales. They were ready to provide Scud missiles, tanks, and small arms to any buyer Mr. James could find in the Middle East or Africa. This is the digital equivalent of an internet mystery involving a dark web marketplace like the Silk Road, but backed by a nuclear-armed state. They even provided Jim with a glossy brochure of missiles. Imagine a PDF catalog for weapons of mass destruction. The plan escalated to a secret meeting in Pyongyang in 2017. Ulrich and Jim were taken to an underground bunker, a literal showroom for illegal weapons. Jim played the arrogant investor, demanding higher purity in the drugs and faster delivery on the rockets. Ulrich, the quiet facilitator, recorded it all on button cameras and pens. They eventually signed a contract for a project in Uganda. The front was a luxury golf resort on an island in Lake Victoria. The back door was an underground factory for missiles and meth. This is a classic financial fraud mechanic. You take a legitimate-looking investment like the resort, use front companies to move the money, and hide the illicit activity beneath the surface. North Korea has been doing this for decades. They use embassies as hubs for smuggling and digital theft. The meeting in Uganda in 2019 was the final data exfiltration. Ulrich and Jim had signatures. They had blueprints for an underground chemical weapons facility. They had the names of every official involved. When the documentary, The Mole, finally aired, it was a zero-day attack on the regime's reputation. The UN Sanctions Committee used the footage to launch investigations into North Korean diplomats. The Ugandan government was forced to respond to the illegal island deal. Alejandro Caudebenos, the gatekeeper, saw his carefully built influence crumble instantly. But what can we, as digital sleuths, learn from this? Because while most of us are not going to infiltrate North Korea, the tactics the regime used are the same ones used against you every day in phishing attacks and dark web scams. Number 1. The human firewall is always the weakest link. The North Koreans were so blinded by the promise of money that they ignored the red flags. If a deal sounds too good to be true, whether it is a multi-million-dollar arms deal or a crypto investment in your direct messages, it is a scam. Number 2. Persistence is key. Ulrich did not hack them in a day. He spent 10 years building a profile. Modern hackers do the same. They might sit on your network for months, watching your behavior before they strike. This is why cybersecurity protocols like multi-factor authentication and regular software updates are non-negotiable. Number 3. Verification is everything. The North Koreans failed to do a deep background check on Ulrich. They relied on social proof. Always verify the identity of anyone asking for sensitive info or money. If you have been a victim of a digital threat, remember to disconnect immediately if you suspect a breach. Report the incident to your bank and local authorities. In the United States, the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center is your go-to resource. Finally, restore your data using clean backups. Never pay the ransom in a ransomware attack. It only funds people like the guys Ulrich caught. Ulrich Larsen is back in Denmark now. He lives a quiet life, but he will never truly be off the clock. He still varies his route to the grocery store. He still looks over his shoulder. He took a gamble that most intelligence agencies would not touch. And he won. He proved that even the most secure systems in the world, even a nuclear dictatorship, can be taken down by a single person with a camera and the courage to stay in the room. The world of cybercrime is vast, and the shadows are deep. But as long as there are people willing to shine a light, the truth will always find a way out. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the intersection of espionage and digital crime, hit that like button and subscribe. We have got more cybercrime documentaries coming your way. From the depths of the dark web to the highest levels of government corruption, stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay secure. I am the Digital Sleuth. I will see you in the next one.